Hello, and we're back, and I'm super excited. This is one of my old favorite friends, Siera, and she's also been amazing and helped me a lot in my business. But we're going to talk to Siera just now. I'm Christine Bell. This is Snappy Chat. This is all about learning and growing together. And we're going to spend 30 minutes just really understanding a challenge in business that probably all of us has faced. And we already started talking beforehand, so I know it's going to be a great conversation. And yeah, so feel free to talk in the comments. But Siera, tell us a little bit more about yourself, because obviously I know what you do and you're amazing when it comes to mediumships, in terms of psychic readings, but also business, and you combine it all in one. So tell us a little bit more, please.
Hi, yeah, thank you so much for having me back. I'm excited to be here again. So my name is Siera Sambrosky, and I have been an intuitive medium all my life. I was born with spiritual gifts that allowed me to know and understand things that were not of this physical world and were unseen to most people. And my career really started as just a traditional business consultant. I didn't fully understand and realize my spiritual gifts, but I would have these incredible insights, this great knowing to do something that really seemed off book or way kind of out of left field. And it would be highly successful and speed up the client's results for them. And it turned out, as I got a little further along in life and in my career, I came to understand that it was really my intuitive gifts that were feeding into all of that. And so my professional career has had quite a journey and a lot of evolution. And I just fully enjoy being able to work with business owners now and understanding that they themselves are really the vessel of their business. And so whatever's happening in them and with them and in their lives is also going to show up in their business, and how to use those things to their advantage.
I love what you do, so thank you for sharing. And it's so interesting, because I went on a personal development journey 10 years ago, and I didn't realize until, I started this journey, that our beliefs, those unconscious beliefs, especially the limiting ones, shows up in our reality, right? So we can actually create our reality. We're just not aware of it. And we need to get aligned with our intuition and who we are to truly understand that, and to release some of the stuff that's not working for us, and to really step into our true potential, right? And I think that's what you're so great at. You're
Yes.
helping people to step into their true potential.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I mean, something that you and I have talked about, it's always been a really fun thing. It's a little more new to my toolbox, but I did study for 2 years in human design, and now it's been about 2 years since I've integrated that. And that also has been a huge game changer for not only me personally in my own changing my own limiting beliefs and self-criticism and judgments that were really affecting my business, and a whole lot of other things. But also I really see how much that clarifies and has really kind of catapulted the work and the efforts for my clients also, to really be able to understand who they actually are beyond what we have been trained to believe, or what our own wounding or societal conditioning has kind of placed on us.
100%. And I'll just say, you are the one who did some human design work with me. And you mentioned that I would be great at doing groups. Like, I was meant for group work, in terms of not just one-on-one work, but actually to a larger audience, and to be a speaker and to put myself in front and teach more. And it's interesting. That was a couple of years ago, almost a year and a half ago, whatever, I think. And since then, I now do corporate training as well. As it's not my main gig, but it's another way to, and this is coming into something else we'll talk about. It's a way for me to actually do something I actually turned out that I love, which is to be facilitating big groups. And I didn't realize that, but the opportunity came around because I needed some stability in my business, in terms of money, because, as anyone will tell you, cash flow is the hardest thing, I think, in business. And so for me, I reached out to university. I got this job doing through my business doing corporate training for them. And I didn't realize how much I would love it or how good I think I am at it actually until I stepped into it and I went, wow, Siera actually told me this. And it just, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it feels natural and it feels like something that I don't have to work that hard at. It just comes to me naturally. I feel comfortable and confident in that space. So thank you for pointing that out. And that's for your work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I think that what you just explained is in the nutshell pretty much with what every single one of my clients who I've used the human design elements of who they are and help them to incorporate that, whether they were a business owner or it was just in their own career. Pretty much the feedback across the board is it's just has made things so much more easier, and I feel so much more grounded and confident in who I am. There's a naturalness to it, like you said, it's not like there's no effort that has to go into these things, or we don't have to exert some kind of energy because we do, but there's like a naturalness to it that just makes it kind of feel easier to go about doing it.
That's exactly the right way to say that. And that leads it into something that you and I just talked about beforehand, which I think a lot of us building businesses, especially if we are, a small business, a one-man band, a founder, etc. And that is that thing of, it's a cash flow thing, I think, and it's also around really finding what we're great at and trusting the journey. And sometimes the journey is not as straightforward as we would like, is it?
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, I do know it certainly hasn't been for me personally. It's been like the loop-de-loop roller coaster all over the place. Maybe some business owners have had more streamlined kind of journeys and pathways than I have. But, I think there comes a point for everyone, and this was really a challenge, and this is what you're kind of getting to, and what we were talking about before we jumped on here was that, the challenge can be sometimes that life is presenting opportunities and it may not look the way that you wanted it to look. It may not look the way that you ever thought it would look. It may not look the way that you're even most comfortable with. But if you're not willing to kind of adapt and make those pivots and open yourself up, from a spiritual way, we would say allow, flow, surrender even to the way that you're actually being guided or pushed, you will make things a lot more difficult for yourself.
And isn't that the truth? And it's one of those things, and I agree with you. There are some companies, and I know quite a few of them as well, they had a job, then they started business doing what they already did. And I kind of did that when I first started out to make some money. And then they grew from there. And they had the clients almost lined up. They already knew the people they were going to reach out to in their clientele, etc. And they're kind of gone with that. I'm not saying that is not completely aligned to who they are. Maybe it is exactly what they were supposed to do. But for some of us like me, I started doing a bit of that, and I still do a bit of that. I have to stay open to that. I still do a bit of what I used to do in my old job when I was working full-time 10 years ago. And that's great. But I also had a dream of something else. And that's where it comes interesting when you suddenly pivoting yourself into knowing that there's something else that is more exciting for you, or it feels more important, right? In terms of pursuing it, that feels that it connects with you. And that's where it's interesting, because I am on the same journey as you. It's certainly not a straight line. It's anything but straight. It's all over the show. And it's interesting trying to stay open to that without judging it.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, because sometimes that judgment is I'm not really that good at that. I don't know that anybody's going to really want that. I don't have kind of any base for that. So that it can lead into the fear around, money. I mean, that's a very real thing, right? Like we have to, as a business owner that doesn't have kind of that backstop of income coming from somewhere else, you start offering something different or changing who your target market is, or, making kind of a dramatic shift into something that might feel more fulfilling and more desirable for you, but there's a lot of fear and real challenge that can come up and kind of present that, because you potentially could be alienating your client audience, customer base, whatever, by shifting. I mean, that was certainly a big fear of mine when I went from being just a consultant, primarily in construction and real estate and home services, to being somebody who was openly an intuitive medium and using human design and wanting to deal with the business owner as a whole, not just their business. There was a real shift in, and I had to be willing to say, no matter what happens here, I have to pursue what I am sure is really my heart, kind of the universe guiding me into.
Yes. And that's scary because now we're not only, obviously, we have our dream, we feel strongly, you have a strong connection to what you could really be and what you want to do and what's going to fulfill you. And when we tap into that, it's an amazing feeling when we can feel that and we can really, sit back and visualize it and feel it and get excited about it. And it feels so natural and real and authentic. But then you have to let everyone else know, because otherwise, how are you going to show up on social media and you can't pretend anymore. You have to step out in who you really are and show people a different side of yourself and your business, right? And that's like suddenly being seen, and then we're worried about potentially other people's judgment or all those things. And what if I can't make it because now I'm on show, yeah? In terms of people watching me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, and this is kind of going back to that whole beliefs thing again, too, because when we have been able to kind of work through our limiting beliefs around who we are and be confident in the fact that we are actually able to be successful and we have the capacity to make that change and shift and still maintain respect and clients and all the things, right? Like then maybe some of that fear gets kind of mitigated for us. But also too, sometimes that little pivot is a lot smaller. You and I have talked about this before, where like sometimes it's not even something as big as like the overall offer or the overall messaging or target market, but maybe it's that we were thinking that we wanted to work one-to-one with business owners, and now there's like corporations that are wanting us to do teams, like kind of like you were saying, that's showing up for you. Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah, it's like I had this idea that, now I'm going to be this, I'm going to make money this, and this is how I'm going to do it, and it all feels great. And then you're like, well, this opportunity suddenly showed up, and I like it. It's not what I had thought about. I like it. And it's obviously money. And, sometimes when we're still working through getting a consistency in our sales, which can take time, especially in a tricky economy, it can take time. And just building your brand, if your service business, brand is quite important in terms of people actually knowing you exist and then liking you. It's kind of, do we say no to it? Do we say no just because it's not exactly what we see? Or do we lean into the trusting that it's meant to be this way, and maybe the road to what my ideal looks like, which is up here, is different than I thought?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to relate it to myself, which is maybe not as relatable to everybody else, given the nature of my, using my spiritual gifts as really the crux of my service. But, for me, because I had been a consultant so long, once I had worked through the fact, and then I'd gone back to school for coaching, and I've been a coach now for 12, 13 years, 13, 14 years. Oh boy. Anyway, I really thought that even though I was making this big shift in kind of who my target market was and my messaging, and that I was going to kind of come out as an intuitive medium and that I was still really focused and held on to hard the idea that I was going to primarily take consulting contracts and do coaching work. And that was a very particular kind of income model. And it was really where I was putting all of my efforts. And
Yeah.
again, for me personally, to be really vulnerable and transparent about it, I was really largely looking for that because of the financial stability that I saw in going that route and having that model. And what really came to be probably towards the end of last year was it became really apparent to me that I was really being pushed into going into doing like just single readings with people, whether it was an intuitive reading or like a quick, like a longer half day or a design reading, and that it was going to be shorter amounts of money and shorter amounts of time working with people. And I very stubbornly had a hard time really accepting that. And I really kind of fought it for a lot longer. Looking back, I could say I was fighting that a lot longer, but I've kind of given up and surrendered into that now. And it's a totally different model, even though now my focus and my client base is still the same.
And it's so interesting because I've been going through a similar experience, and it has directly impacted how I sell my offer. And it's quite interesting, especially the economy in Australia is definitely struggling after the last 5 years, especially for smaller businesses. And it's interesting what you said is sometimes we think, well, I've got to have got this beautiful package that I'm going to sell and it's worth this much and X, Y, Z, and if I sell how many of those, then my year is complete, right? And there's a little bit of fear that actually makes that decision, I think, in terms of control, like, okay, I've got this work down, etc., right? And right now, the market in Australia is definitely also saying, hey, you got to have some cheaper offers. You got to have some one-offs. You got to be able to, shall we say, completely customize on the go to their needs. And that might mean the package is smaller.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, it's different for each one of us. Myself personally, part of that was that fighting it was as I already said, it was about fear because there was a more financial stability and security, I thought, by doing kind of the bigger packages and stuff. And also there was a part of me that really resisted the idea that you had to start small and kind of breadcrumb people into bigger packages, because I knew it didn't have to be that way. I knew energetically, by law, I knew from experience from other people that it didn't have to be that way. And I was like, well, I don't want it to be that way for me either. And, it was really about a mindset shift in myself around saying, okay, well, my mother would say, like, you can't cut off your nose to spite your face, right? And also, I knew that I wasn't shifting and now offering smaller, lower level offers. Wasn't a place of fear or feeling like that's what I'm supposed to do. I was able to come into it and say, well, this is what the market is demanding, and not because they don't or won't invest in a bigger package, but because that's not what they need from me right now. So and that's important, I think, for people to really look at all that.
Absolutely. I think so. I think there's a little crack in terms of the audio between us. So I'm sorry if I cut you off there. I think you're right. It's like this thing, how do we open up? Like this is, I think, is what most of us, whatever it looks like in your business, I think there comes a point where we are going to be asked to really tune into what's right for us, what's right for our market, and let go of any notions of what we think it needs to look like. And trust that what's showing up, if it feels okay and right, even if it's not exactly what we thought we wanted, maybe give it a go, maybe give it a try and see if there's a different path. It's kind of like if you look at the universe and we think this is a straight path there, right? This is the path. I can see it, I can feel it, it should make sense. I go straight there. But if the universe is giving us a little bit of a roundabout or a different path and it's a little bit dark there, we can't quite see it, are we willing to trust that and move forward with it? Or are we going to get stuck and we've got to be this way where I can see it and I know how?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we have to evaluate what is the real internal motivation. We have to be really aware and really honest with ourselves about what is my internal motivation for offering this thing, or for targeting these people, or for doing it in this model or this way. Because if it is based on fear, if it's based on what we think we should be doing, you're at some point you're going to hit a wall. At some point, that's going to stop working.
Wholly agree. At some point, there will be a wall and we'll hit it. And it's a matter of whether we then give up or whether we're willing to look at that wall and go, all right, what's the other way? Show me the other way. I'm not quite sure what it looks like, but I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to start being open to other options. And for me, that looked like needing some stability, because it wasn't that I wasn't making money. It was that it was like this, and that was impacting my fear and my well-being. And so for me, what it looked like was, well, I've always wanted to be a teacher. And why not try and become a teacher and have a part-time gig where I get some stability as a teacher? And lo and behold, I put that thought out there. LinkedIn, next thing I know, the ad showed up on LinkedIn in front of me saying, apply for this job at a local university in a topic that I really enjoy, innovation. And lo and behold, it was, I can't say how easy, it was the easiest job interview I ever had in my life.
And
yeah, and you know, there's you go.
I was going to say, and that's an excellent example of really kind of being redirected and saying, now we're going to take you this way so that you can gain these skills, and you don't have any idea what kind of connections or what kind of world. And it is, right? It's opening you up to new worlds, new connections, new skills in yourself that you didn't even maybe know, or you didn't have a lot of confidence in. And so that is only setting you up to go into different things, bigger things, and to get closer to what your dream was to begin with. It's just that it's taking a different path.
Exactly. It's that path that's less well lit that I never thought about, but I came to a point where I'm like, emotionally, this is too hard for me to, you know, I wanted to keep going with the business. I wasn't going to give up on that. But emotionally and financially, quite literally, it was like, this is hard on me, like, because it was like this. And in the last few years, so I'm like, all right, let's move in a different direction. You're absolutely right. It has opened up different, I've gained new skills. I've met new people, and it opened me up to getting another gig for another university. And it's opened me up to other opportunities. But most importantly, it's built confidence in myself. And it's gotten me back to the human design, what you did with me, saying, you are really gifted in this area, whether you realize it or not. And it's taking me, that road has taken me straight there into it, right?
Yeah, and it's all about that allowing. It really is. It's like, you know, this is kind of a different topic, but the truth of the matter is that we all have an internal guidance in us. We all have connection to that source, universe, God, whatever people want to call it, because that's who we are innately. I mean, that energy is who we are in our divine essence, in our souls. And it always is guiding you. It is always trying to make things easy for you, despite whatever stories or perspectives we want to hold and our families have maybe put on us and whatever else. The truth is it wants to make your life easy. And we have that ability to connect and know how to let that happen. And what I always say, but you gotta let go. It's like holding the cork underwater or the float underwater, the beach ball underwater, right? Like it'll naturally rise to and
it's
like
good.
just shoot up to
Yeah.
whatever's going to be an easier path. But you got to stop trying to hold it underwater.
Yes. Stop holding it underwater and stop opening up to trust and embracing those challenges when we think I hit another roadblock in business. And we all do it at certain points in different places in our business, whether big or small. I know companies, founders who have scaled really, really fast, and they're making, they are selling for over millions of dollars and they have no cash flow, or they are meeting other challenges, massive challenges. It happens at all levels. It's not, and it happens to all of us.
All levels.
It's just a matter of how we deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, primarily, many of my clients were, 7, 8, 9, 10 figures companies in revenue, and they came to me because at some point they hit a wall.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's not about what's, exactly. It's not where you are in business. It's going to happen, and it's going to continue to happen, I reckon, too, right? Because it's not just about us being great in business. It's about our achieving our dreams. But most importantly, it's about us connecting deeper with ourselves. So if we come back to believing that this is about us learning about who we are and expressing ourselves, then that's a journey we're on.
We always are. Whether the issues show up for us in our money, in our relationships, in our career, in our family, the journey is always about one with yourself. And it's just health, your people's health, physical health is often very affected by whatever internal beliefs, emotions, what have you, they're not dealing with. So
yeah,
it
happens
always
in all areas of life for all of us.
Yeah,
maybe that's the truth of the journey of life, right?
Yes, it is. I think so.
Well, wonderful. I could continue this conversation, but we're going to stop now. And I highly recommend everyone who's listening in on the replay, etc. I don't know if anyone showed up because today I didn't see anyone, but that doesn't mean they're not there. Sometimes LinkedIn doesn't let me see anyone. You never know. But if you're watching the replay or you're watching it right now, feel free to, absolutely reach out to Siera and learn more about what she does. She's helped me a lot in business. And yeah, anywhere else they can reach you. I put on LinkedIn, they can find you on LinkedIn. Anywhere else, anything you want to share before we finish up?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I have, I'm on Facebook and Instagram also, and I do have a website that also links to all of my social media, as well as I do have a YouTube channel where I move all of my podcast videos onto after I audibly release them. And yeah, all those connection points should be in my LinkedIn bio or on my website, which you can go to my website. It's my name, Siera Sambrosky, or Evolution Alchemist, whatever's easier for you, because I love to buy URLs. But that's another story.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And thank you for anyone listening to this. Thank you so much. We love you.
Thank you.